Yeah, so for number four, I'm going to bring it back to frontline workers and
Nice.
new ways of enabling frontline workers and enhancing their environment with technology. So this, in some ways, right, I kind of feel oftentimes that we say this almost every year, that this is a year when everyone's going to invest in their frontline workers and their store teams. But I think the nuance here is that the type of enablement is a little different. So I'm not really talking about trying to hand a mobile device to every store associate and putting some applications on there where they can look up customer data. I think we've all talked about that before, and the use cases for that are pretty well laid out. I think now it's more a matter, given the ongoing labor shortages that retailers are seeing, which we don't really seem to see those going away yet. There are still things those workers want, and it's not always about compensation, right? Oftentimes it's about flexibility, which implies being able to better kind of own what kind of shift that worker wants to have and is able to work. So what about retailers putting in more technology that helps with that aspect of it? That's the kind of the trend I think we're seeing now, where it's not just the technology that helps with the customer interaction. That's always kind of there and happening. But now it's, what technology do we put in that makes the environment better for those store teams and for the frontline worker? So whether it's better managing their shifts and their time and their schedule, whether it's better managing the tasks that they're being asked to do, whether those tasks are with a customer or whether they're just, operational in the store, it's all around that task management. And what tools are we giving them to make it easier to communicate both in a larger format store with other associates in that store or with team members in another store, because they do have a customer question that they can't answer on the spot and they need access to that. So there are lots of technology solutions to address all of those things, which I think that's the new trend for 2023. It's less so about, the typical clienteling kind of application that we've heard about for years. This is more about making it better for the actual store employee in their day-to-day environment.
Well, I know, and that's got to be music to your ears, because I know when you're coming out of grocery shop, you're like, where is this?
Yeah.
Right? That was your big call out. Like, it was like, where was this trend? And so it's great to hear this.
Yeah. It seemed like it was a category that was very much missing from the conversation. I mean, especially with, we're looking at the staffing challenges that everybody's having. They need the flexibility. Those frontline workers, the people in the stores are they're comparing that job to a gig job, working for the same amount of money or more, and the flexibility, which they just don't get in a lot of the roles that a lot of the ways that people are handling that right now. David, what would you add in here?
No, you're right. You actually touched on it. So the gig economy. So labor department's also looking at these potential changes to reclassify contractors as employees. And you think of these contractors like Uber, Lyft drivers, potentially seasonal or shift workers, personal shoppers. And so they're looking for better benefits, right? Better pay. Potentially employers may have to deliver on that. Ricardo's point, it's not just about pay. McKinsey cited flexibility of schedule is the number one for frontline workers. I want to have a predictable schedule in advance. And how do I do that? So I'm not going to pick up my prop again, but if I had my phone, I want to be able to identify when my next shift is, right? And can I swap that with someone else? I want to know, another challenge is for employers to provide that flexibility from a device. Am I supplying that device to the employee? Or are they using their own? And there are implications around that in terms of, do I reimburse or compensate that employee for the time spent on that device? And in some cases, they'll need technology solutions to turn off access after hours. So they can't check their shipment, can't check on corporate communications, so that they can avoid having to pay, say, for overtime. And as it relates to pay, what we're starting to see is employees are looking for, not having to wait for 2 weeks for a paycheck.
Exactly.
So once I finish that shift, some retailers are now providing either full pay into the shift or percentage of that. Again, predictable pay, predictable income, predictable shifts. And that only happens with the right type of technology, right, that the retailer is providing, as well as what the employee or seasonal worker has.